And we are back in the mix for what is set to be a lovely little pie and mashup, Harry. We're going into RAISY taking on Cooler. This is one of those games you look at it and it's genuinely too hard to predict in the sense that it's going to be volatile.
It certainly is indeed. You know, Cooler, he's been on form, like he's been playing extremely well over the last few weeks. During the first 6, 7, 8 weeks, we were wondering where he's gone, like, you know, what's happened to him. Like, it's just a bit weird how he's not the, you know, one of the strongest adaptable players in the Pro League overall. And it was just a bit strange in some ways, but now he's back. He is back on form. He is the very strong opponent we all know and love, where he's bullying every item to no end, reading his opponent within just a few minutes and, you know, recognizing exactly what he needs to rectify himself in order to take down every single person he comes up against. And it's great to see. And especially against an opponent like RAISY, where he's a guy where he expects everything. It's very, very difficult to surprise him. We know he's very well known for his clutch picks and what maps he knows and loves. But the Maestro man definitely has a few things up his sleeve. It's very rare occurrences he does choke, but we'll have to see what he can do against a man like Cooler. For Cooler, as you remember, he was dancing with the relegation zone for the last few weeks. He's slowly coming out of there. But again, this is another must win for Cooler to at least guarantee himself to make sure he stays in the Quake Pro League.
Yeah, it's been pretty weird, right? In the sense of like seeing obviously Cooler throughout the multiple stages where he was really in contention to snatch the belt in the constant brawls we were having on the build up towards lands. But I don't know, it felt like he dropped off an awful lot over the course of the online season, wasn't really hitting his shots as much, wasn't playing anywhere near as confidently. And for the most part, Harry, it just looked like he got into his own head in a lot of the games. Like, genuinely, there was times where it felt like he was defeating himself. I'm glad to see he's at least coming around from that, because he is a legend in his own right. You know, you can't look at the Quake Pro League and not immediately have your eyes drawn to one of the players like Cooler. He's up there for a reason, and we need to see him wake up and just get back into that form that we know he can produce. In terms of this game, though, for the raw 1v1 that it is, I do think it's really hard to predict. RAISY, you think about it, so far ahead of his time. Even when he's in the present, he's reminiscing. Like, he is so sick at the game. Genuinely one of the next kings of Quake. And at the minute, he's going up against someone that's had that crown for quite some time.
Yeah, players like RAISY and Wenger just have utter raw talent. You know, they're fundamentally and mechanically gifted in so many ways. Their aim is what they're known for, and the absurd things they do with the flanks and the movement, it's just balmy on some of the things they do. But against a player like Cooler, you know, he's not passive, but he's not super aggro either. He's very calm and collective in the decisions he makes. I think before, during the first half of stage 1, he did make a lot of the wrong decisions. He's known for having that get out jail free card, always put himself in a spot where, you know, if you're not in a great position, or he's taken the wrong fight, or he's been out-aimed or out-dueled in some way, shape, or form, then he will have the chance to back away. He will be able to make sure he can restack and get the items and then just go back from how it started and back forth, and depending on how the map progresses. But now Cooler has actually been able to fix all his mistakes. He's obviously been grinding quite a fair amount, and he needs to continue to do that because he doesn't want to be in a spot where, you know, there's a possible chance of being relegated. And, you know, saying the names, you know, Cooler and relegation, those words, it just doesn't make any sense, does it? But it doesn't seem like that now, as now that if he actually tries and manages to defeat RAISY, there's will be a much stronger possibility, because I think it's between him and possibly CNZ.
Yeah, they don't roll off the tongue in the same sentence. It's not something you expect to see. In terms of what we are going to be seeing, though, with the map veto, we can have a look at the picks and bans for this series. This is our third matchup of the night, and it's some real living legends that will be clashing here. The young blood of RAISY up against tried and tested steel of Cooler. With the maps we're working with, Harry, we start off on Blood Covenant, then swiftly move into Deep Embrace, and finally lock it down with Corrupted Keep. This is actually a pretty damn good veto for these two competitors.
This is not the first time we've seen Cooler use Visor on Corrupted Keep as well. I think a lot of people may ask questions as to why and how. I think it's more due to the fact that he wants to be in a comfortable position and know when to take certain routes, and he does abuse the heavy machine gun a lot in comparison to most of these players. Likes to keep his long distance, which is why he's probably going to use that Visor. But in terms of the map picks, both players love Blood Covenant, so I think they're perfectly fine there. But also RAISY's very good at Corrupted Keep and Deep Embrace. But this is the thing, you see, RAISY's got all 3 maps. Even in my notes, I've got he loves either Blood Covenant, Corrupted Keep, or Deep Embrace. He's got all 3 maps in this cycle. So RAISY should be laughing at this moment in time, but it may not be laughing depending on how the first map goes, because Cooler is very strong on Blood Covenant, has been for years. I think Cooler is the one who needs to get this first map pick out of the way, because RAISY is so strong on the other 2 that it's very hard to call what could possibly happen.
I think you're lying, actually, Harry. I've seen your notes, and it's just pictures of Cooller's new haircut with little love hearts all around it. So I don't know why you felt the need to lie about that.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. I know you want to show off, but, I'll let you off this time, mate, as we're going to be showing off some true, beautiful Quake in a minute. It looks like we're getting ready to get into the first map in this series. Again, I think we've been given a banger, really. A lot of the games were treats tonight, but this is one of the big gems in the rough, right? This could be really sick.
It certainly will. It's just even corrupt to keep with the visor on Cooler's side. I don't think we're going to see a lot of high fragging, potential in that map, or maybe during the series. It just depends on what Cooler wants to do and how he actually plays things out. If he's been playing like he's done previously, RAISY needs to be extremely cautious on what he does and what actions he takes, because we know he can be very aggressive. He can get off guard at time, and Cooler is the one who will stamp him down straight away. And the contesting for items, that is Cooler's life in a nutshell. He'll absolutely contest everything, even the lights, day in, day out. It's very, very difficult to topple someone like him. And for someone you wouldn't think is quite calm and collective in most of the situations he's in, but when he's after you, is literally no stopping him. It's literally like a running tank.
It'll just run you over. You'd need multiple tank traps to stop him, Harry, and potentially like a moat, maybe full of alligators. That could help. I'm not sure. I don't know if alligators win out in the battle against the tank, really. We'll have to run some tests on that. But we can test 2 duelists as we are getting into the arena. Blood Covenant will be the first map in this series. 3 maps for this one. It should be really, really quality Quake. RAISY, of course, playing the Nyx, and straight up, it's Anarchy from Cooler. And he can raise hell on this champion, Harry. If we come out with some fast, snappy plays from Cooler, I think this is going to be a sick first few minutes.
It certainly will. But look at this. Cooler's already gone straight for the nail, decides to contest the light with him, sorry, the LG, and is backed away again. So at least Cooler has delayed the heavy by quite a large amount. But look at this. RAISY hasn't even picked up the Mega yet. That's how delayed it is. But Cooler, of course, doesn't know this. He's made the assumption that Mega is still up. But it seems like he's questioning the server. But I suppose we'll find out on that just a little bit. But it was quite weird at one stage. We thought that Cooler was maybe just hiding around LG, seeing what he's going to do. But he's just talking about pings at the moment. So we'll find out from the admin shortly whether he's actually going to continue playing on or if things are going to restart here, Jack.
Yeah, it does look like Cooler has far higher ping at this point. So I'm guessing we'll probably get this one relived. It sounds like we are. So, all right, fair enough. I mean, obviously, it makes sense, right? You never know. Maybe he's left something downloaded in the background, Harry. It could happen. Getting the latest updates in, getting his movie ready for after the show so we can settle down, enjoy a bit of TV. I'm not sure. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't know either. He's probably just having an after party and even with himself, depending on what he's watching. But this is the thing you see with Cooler. Like I saw from there as well, his ping was a little bit higher than usual. Yeah, which is understandable. RAISY and Cooler don't live really too far from each other, so you expect like a 20-30 ping difference depending on what server they're playing on, probably Central or East. But yeah, what you saw from there right at the very beginning, Cooler was just going straight down for the LG. It wasn't really particularly going for the LG, but was hoping to take him down with that nail gun. But did a lot of damage, not enough. And even afterwards, we saw a few little things here and there. Cooler goes straight for the heavy, delayed it by about 10-15 seconds. But RAISY didn't even pick up the Mega. He went straight for the rail and then backed out. But Cooler's going to realise this now. He's going to realise that when he was in LG, he probably heard the Mega get picked up. And that's kind of RAISY's start strategy gone, really. So unless RAISY does the exact same thing again, which is highly unlikely, we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, that probably does take that element of surprise out of his playbook, really, right? Because that's what I was thinking. It looked like, obviously, you're on Anarchy. Give it if you want. Just full send it. Started out playing off the back of the spawn. He did. Just swooped in like a very aggressive eagle. Didn't quite get the kill, though, of course. But it's probably for the best. You imagine if he did get the frag, it makes it a little bit more awkward then if you're making the decision of having to relive the lobby or play it out. So, to be fair, it's fine. We'll just get that sorted, go back in with a fresh playing field, and we'll see what happens in the outcome. Shouldn't be too long until we step back into this one, guys. We're just getting it back in the lobby, and then we'll ship this one out. Everything sorted, Cooler, happy with the ping. That's the end result, Harry. That's what we're looking for.
That's all he wants. He doesn't want an East US ping, does he, on the East, which is understandable. But yeah, what start strategy are they going to use? I suppose it depends where they spawn. They might spawn on the opposite sides this time around.
Yeah.
You saw them there, but most people normally delay the items anyway by a fair amount. Some of those 5 seconds, sometimes 10. It depends on how the engagement works out. But that particular engagement was heavily in favoured in RAISY, not at the start, but towards the 10-20 second mark. And which is a real shame, really, because he had the rail, he was going to go back for the mega, even if he got tied down or hit. But Cooler, he was in the, I wouldn't say he was in a bad spot. He picked up the heavy quite late. He could have re-healed with the orbs. So it's a bit of a mismatch. It's a shame, really. That start strategy, like you said as well, is out the window. So I'll have to find out exactly what's going to happen at the start of this map, again, depending on where they're going to go and where they actually spawn here.
Yeah, makes sense, man. Just double checking. I mean, it looks like we are actually heading into this one. I can see that they are starting the game. If not, we can send it live. I'm not too sure if we're going to be following through with that. I mean, we've got Cooler back in, Harry, so it doesn't seem like it'll be too long before this goes back in, really, as long as everything's fine from Cooler's end. If not, though, we can take a bit of time out here, of course, and come back in a few minutes. Shouldn't be too long till we get this sorted out, guys. Do stick around, as in a couple of minutes' time, we'll be getting into it. RAISY taking Cooler. It's the first map in the series. You haven't missed anything yet. So keep it locked, and we'll be back after the break. And welcome back, everybody. We are about ready to get into it and kick things off with RAISY taking on Cooler. We did send the series live, but only momentarily. Obviously, Cooler had a slight issue with his internet, but that has been solved now. Everything back to normal, Harry, and we should be good to get this series rolling.
Normality has been restored finally. Yeah, we'll be starting in the next couple of minutes. And it is a shame, like I said earlier, you know, with the start strategies and everything like that, it's all kind of thrown out the window a little bit now, considering the circumstances. But it doesn't matter. I'm sure they've got plenty of strategies up their sleeve. Probably more back to basics, back to default.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. You know, it's a stab in the dark, really. He went for the gamble off the back of playing it. Who knows? I suppose at least because he went for something so audacious as well, he spotted out that he was lagging early on, and we were able to solve that in the first couple of seconds rather than it becoming a sustained issue throughout the course of the game. Looks like we have just gotten into the server, though. For anyone joining us, of course, that didn't see the veto, it is going to be Nyx for RAISY and Anarchy being pulled out for COOLLER. Here we go as we head into the third series.
RAISY now. Nice little jump there. Wanted to see exactly where he was going off the bat. He did go straight for the heavy, but the Anarchy's just trying to barely get away. Nice 58 from RAISY. But look at this though. That means that COOLLER did manage to pick up both items. It's not something RAISY wanted. I think he expected him to lay the heavy again, but no. Instead, COOLLER did go straight for that heavy. But RAISY just playing it super slow here. He knows what COOLLER's like. He knows that he's going to pick him apart once he's been figured out. But RAISY's just playing it in a cautious manner, so he can't figure him out too easily here. As COOLLER's jumped up, picked up the heavy, and is holding that rocket bridge.
Obviously, a far more reserved style of play compared to what we had the first time around before the reset. That was a bit of a delay there between the spot to actually switching to the rail. Somehow RAISY still gets a big drop on COOLLER though. Ew, he doesn't quite make the jump to get himself back up to grab a bit more rail ammunition. At least he's still got 8 shots left in reserve, so it won't harm him too much. Quick switch back over, but it's actually COOLLER that is going to turn him into mincemeat. Shuts him down immediately with a great flick from the rail.
Yeah, that was lovely stuff from COOLLER. The 1-0 lead and a massive stack, besides to leave the Mega just for a little bit more because he wants to continue having that additional stack. But decides to go back for it anyway just in case, because he remembers that RAISY made that mistake earlier on. Doesn't want to do the exact same thing. But look at the timings of the items. Both are segregated quite heavily by about 12 seconds. And COOLLER is loving life right now. He's got the first rail. He could easily go for the second. He knows that he's got to try and contest this Mega in the next 6 seconds. He's got to try and push in. And he has the inject to follow up if anything happens. That rail does miss, but he's waiting for his second chance. RAISY must know that Mega's up. He's decided to rotate to the rockets to see if he can find COOLLER. But what he is going to know now is that he's picked up the Mega. But RAISY has got that first rail. But the first one didn't go through. He's been taken off guard from that rocket. Is going to try and get this heavy. Surely he will. Yes, he will. But RAISY is left with a tail between his legs trying to get away, whilst COOLLER has restacked.
Okay. 2 minutes and 33 in. Single frag on the board for COOLLER. Grabs himself the Mega as well. He's just skulking around. Scoped in. Ready to see if he can try and take down a Nyx or two, if she will peek out. Holds close on the angle, just slowly walking up. I think he's been spotted. RAISY should have caught the back of his behind there as he wove his way around the stairs. He did. Holds on the angle, fires off a single shot from the rail, lands it, and then pieces out, sprinting back over towards the Mega. Only issue is COOLLER's a little bit quicker, gets there, has the high ground as well, so RAISY has to concede this encounter. Tries to dart his way back over to heavy. Up in the next 3 seconds. Takes a peek with a rail, but doesn't land it. Will be able to make his move in to snatch away the heavy, though.
I like this from COOLLER though. When he's holding that top rocket area or on the rocket bridge, he's always keeping a very close eye, a keen eye on those hourglasses. But he's got the first rail, he's looking for the second, but the pillar got the better of him. And COOLLER does have the inject if he does need to scarp. It's still waiting for him to peek once more. The Mega has been picked up by RAISY, looking to make that getaway with the inject. It's faked it, it's gone back through. Both players, well, I'll say COOLLER was the only one who missed that rail. RAISY is the one who managed to get the chip damage in before he scarped once more. But look at this though. Picks up the light. Things have reset a little bit here, but RAISY is the one with the massive stack advantage. Great rounds here from COOLLER, considering the hitbox of Nyx. It's got the second, looking for the third, but no, RAISY is the one who cleans house. And RAISY wasn't even available at the time.
Oh man, skewers him like a stick through tofu, finishing him off with a lovely stab there. It puts the game 1-1, taking some cheeky peeks as he is starting to run risks, using the aggressive ghost walk. You do love to see it. Gets full aggro, pulls out the LG. But he's torn down. His lifeless corpse rolling down the stairs as Cooller gets back in the game and again has a 1 frag lead. Darts around as well to suck up all of the items ahead of him, getting those hourglasses, so he's only got 16 seconds to inject up. But RAISY, trying to inject a bit of aggression into the game, dives down, kamikaze killer, as he'll hit him with a rocket and tie it up once again. 2 kills to 2 kills at the 5-minute mark.
Not too sure about the weapon of choice there from Cooller with the LG, but does it matter? Yes, it does, because now it means RAISY's come back with another frag and has taken the lead. Yeah, the LG I don't think was the right choice, but I don't think Cooller expected it. It was just a little bit too late to make the switch. But look at this, the LG from Cooller's not too bad here. The Ghost Wall comes in, RAISY's pretending to get away, and Cooller, I wouldn't say he fell for it, it was just standing at a much better angle, just double checking, making sure. But both these players are so weak, he's only on 38 HP, and look at that, RAISY just jumps up with the LG, very confident, but Cooller's still very weak from those last couple of shots from the rail, pretending to drop down, gets the light, got the LG, but look at this with the shotgun from Cooller, traps him in the corner, done a huge chunk. Cooller trying to get away, not happening. See you later, Cooller. RAISY takes him down again.
RAISY really looking remarkable at this point. 3 kills ahead. Ooh, what a good spot. Bit of downtime there on the transition back to pulling out the rocket. Oh, you love the play. Timing just not working out for him, though. He gets over on top of the Mega, was hoping that he'd be able to snatch that one away, potentially come out and perforate Cooller from the inside out, but favors Cooller. And gets in there. Man's doing an ollie, kick flipping his way towards victory as he'll steal that Mega, turning Vert on a half pipe as he gets his way out of there as well. RAISY does still lead on kills, Harry. A bit of time is being burnt off the clock. This could be a disgusting cut angle, though. If Cooller comes flying past, that Mega could be shattered. Good hit from RAISY. Nice connection. 2 seconds till Heavy's up. He keeps on hitting 90s as well. This is beautiful. Here comes the chase game as he dives down. LG out. He doesn't miss a beat when he's got the LG in his hands, and he is beating Cooller to a pulp. This should be a 6 frag found as he pulls out the double barrel and sends him off to sleep.
Cooller didn't have a rail for most of that, and it's just a bit of a shame, really. He couldn't get any chip damage done early. RAISY's got such a huge stack now. He can do whatever, and he's almost got that Ghost Walk in play. Heavy coming up in the next 2 seconds. It's going to be holding his angles and making sure he keeps that height advantage until he picks up that Heavy. And it's looking very good for RAISY here. 2 minutes 45 left on the clock. Cooller has just picked up the Mega. Only problem is, though, Cooller does have actually all the weapons in his arsenal, so it's not looking too bad for him. He just needs to get some really good engagements now, at least try and get that first rail before he forces him into another fight. But the first rail does come in for RAISY. Cooller misses one of his own. This is not a good place for Cooller. He needs to try and get away, but the LG's not looking too bad, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. He's going to teleport through to try and clean up, but no, Cooller is the one who cleans up. RAISY had such a huge stack there. That is balmy stuff.
Here's the crazy bit, Harry. There's only 3 frags down, and there's a good amount of time. So he can actually get back into this game, do an awful lot. It is Cooller. When he comes out of his shell, you really do struggle to stuff him back inside it. It's not as easy as a snail. 8 minutes on the clock here. Finally, that mark will be passed. Goes up the bounce pad with the rocket pulled out. Bit of tickle as the LG will stab him in the back. He pulls out an LG of his own, though. Oh, the tag was there. The frag was so close. He would have been salivating over that one. But it's the escape play from RAISY, making use of the Ghost Walk. Brilliant timing on it. Pieces out. And Cooller, his hands forced once again. He's got to chase. He's got to try and close the gap between the both of them.
Doing some very inverted flanks here, but turning to do a lot of things and keeping RAISY on his toes to hopefully fall into one of his traps. But RAISY been very lucky so far in the paths he's taken. But Cooller's just everywhere right now. He can't really find the initial spot where RAISY could be. He's just gone straight past him, which is a shame. And RAISY knows that as well. He heard the audio cues come in, but he's going to find him now. This is the perfect chance, but the Ghost Walk comes in. It's taking his hourglass at least, so he won't have it for a good while. But this is a chance for Cooller now. He's put the inject in. He's going to go on for the chase. Will he be able to get him? Oh, that was a lovely LG there from COOLLERZ. Still got 2 frags in the next 50 seconds, but can he do it though?
He's got to put a brick on the pedal at this point. You cannot take your foot off the gas. He needs to locate RAISY in the next 5 seconds. Hunting for him, scarpering around back and forth. The paranoia must be running through his mind at this point, as the longer this goes on, the longer this game of cat and mouse evades him, the less of a chance he has. Big impact so far though. Bouncing up with a rocket, the transition to rail was so well timed. Hits the shot with the shotgun. 20 seconds left. It's doable. If he can find RAISY as quickly as possible, maybe he can pick this frag up and take it to OT. RAISY with the ghost walk, that could be the GG play. As time is gone, he gets out of there. Cooler, realizing that time is up, tries to mount at least a little bit of a chase, but he can't close the gap, Harry. And RAISY snatches that one away, playing to the strengths of the Knicks.
I was just about to say before all that, but he's going to have a ghost walk in hand as soon as he spawns, which was a real shame. Both players showed a lot of map presence, not too much damage. 2471 to RAISY, 2108 for Cooler. Just over 470 there. It was quite surprising. The items, though, heavily controlled by Cooler with 22. But the rails, you know, they weren't the best, but they're both like champions, which is understandable. But that was some great plays from Cooler. Towards the end, he's making a great comeback, but RAISY did the right motive, just play passive, wait for him to make the first move, and then decide where you want to go from there. But Cooler was even starving him of the hourglasses at one stage.
Yeah, he was doing a good job of being able to farm up those hourglasses to obviously get his injection up a little bit more, to build up that native stack, but also, more importantly, stop RAISY getting the Ghost Walk out. And there was at least 4 critical uses of the Ghost Walk. If he didn't have that Ghost Walk, Harry, this would have been a cooler game in my mind. There was at least 2 kills that were almost guaranteed throughout that one. So that's rough, dude. I mean, a good comeback at least. Like, the final 20 seconds were pretty wild.
Yeah, you couldn't predict some of those scenarios. It was very, very slow pace, but Cooler managed to change that after he had this huge stack during the second half of the game. But there's some great rails from both of these players. Not the most accurate, but definitely the most cost-effective in terms of winning the engagements. Like, look at this, though. RAISY had a massive stack here. Cooler still managed to clean house, but it just wasn't enough. The hiding skills from RAISY did a great job just holding his own, making sure he can see the angles, make sure there's a get out of jail free card if he does need to get away. And RAISY just did a good job towards the very end. He knew that he had to run the time limit out, and lucky he had the ghost walk there, even though he didn't really pick many hourglasses up throughout the course of those last couple of minutes. But he saved it for the right moment, and sadly for Cooler, he made the right motive, really. So the wrong motive, he chose the wrong path. Chose the wrong path at the start, you know, during that ghost walk, but then he turned around and went towards them heavy, assuming that he's going to go back, but RAISY just went straight forward and got away.
Yeah, overall, a nice first map, though, in terms of the series. Obviously, Cooler showing that there's no cobwebs coming in today. He's looking good. And that was the question mark for me, is he's been a little bit volatile over the course of the season. So the fact he popped off into this one, kept it very close against a RAISY that did look on form as well. That bodes well for the rest of the series. That's only the first map. There is a lot more to come with this one in terms of what we're working with going into the second map as well. We've got the BJ coming out for RAISY. We are going on to Deep Embrace as well, Harry. Man, this could be pretty aggressive in terms of some of the carnage we could have coming out here.
Yeah, this map isn't really too much about adaptation. It's more about, you know, the aim skill and how good you are with your height advantage and how quick you are to react to certain flanks and your paths you take. It's very, very difficult. I think it's more in favour of RAISY here because Cooler is definitely the better adaptable player. Mm-hmm. But then again, RAISY, you know, with his fundamentals and mechanics and his raw talent that he has, will be a great map for him. I said all 3 maps in this map pool are definitely in his advantage in terms of everything else. Cooler, I would say, you know, both of them love Blood Covenant anyway, but it seems like Cooler, I was hoping that if he got the first map win, then we'll have to see what happens for the next 2, but the momentum will not be in his favour. RAISY is going to very good spot. He's in a great spot to say the least, with next one being Deep Embrace. I think the last one is Corrupted Keep, isn't it? He hasn't really had, you know, much work with Corrupted Keep recently. I know back in the day we were calling it like RAISY's Keep, but things have changed a little bit since. We know that players like Kilson, Cypher, Wenger, they've got a lot better at Corrupted Keep. Cooler has as well, actually, funny enough. He's kind of changed the meta on not so much being a very heavy aggro played map. It's more, he uses it to, you know, the long distance, have the machine gun. It's very different in comparison to what you normally see. But that's the next map anyway. But for these 2 in Deep Embrace, I'm interested to see what kind of take they use for the meta, what paths they take in terms of the spawn cycle. So when they do respawn, if they're going to go a certain route, they're going to wait. I'm very a bit optimistic to see what they do. I'm sure they will change things up and do things a little bit more differently in comparison to most other players.
Yeah, I think it's going to be intriguing because obviously as a map, Deep Embrace would probably favor RAISY an awful lot. If you think about the style of player that RAISY is, he likes to make the most of everything that's available to him in Quake Champions. That was always one of the reasons why he skyrocketed so quickly through the ranks, right? He was good at trying things out, learning all the new tricks of the trade every time there was a potential edge that he'd find. It's why he really defined his champion pool and made so much use out of champions like Clutch, because it was just champions that he found ingenuity with and was able to really get to grips with quite quickly. That also applies to the map pool. The fact we've actually had, obviously coming into this season, we've had that rotating map pool. We've been switching out some of the maps throughout the course of the 12 weeks so far. Again, I think that favors RAISY. He was far quicker to adapt. We've seen him being more willing to play on Deep Embrace and play that style of play that works very well on the map, being quite aggressive and just taking the fight to his opponent. Whereas Cooller, he steered away from Deep Embrace for quite some time. You could see he was actively trying to ban it out in a lot of the vetoes we had seen. When it did slip through, he never looked too comfortable on it, Harry.
That's a worrying feat if that's the case, because for Cooller, Deep Embrace have been played a lot now. I think people have really dug deep in terms of how to settle this meta right. I still think there's a lot more work that needs to be done with Deep Embrace overall, and I think a lot of the other players probably make the same assumption. It probably won't be for another 3, maybe even 6 months until the meta's almost at a point where it's stable enough to understand how Deep Embrace should be played and how it should be worked. But it's a very small map, so it can be grasped quite easily. But yeah, this won't be one of Cooller's better maps, but to see how much he's progressed on it and see how much more work and time and effort he's put into this in comparison to the other maps we all know and love. But we are going to start for RAISY on this map number 2 to see if it can try and close out this series, or if Cooller will be able to tie things up and see if we can get a reverse sweep going.
All right, BJ Cam to kick us off then, as we do have RAISY on the dual-wielding lunatic himself. 30 seconds into this one. A couple of close encounters, but no real commits. I like this play from RAISY though. Perch himself up on the ledge, listen out for the close encounter, and see if he could swing around on the timing. I thought he was actually going to lurk that out and wait to see if he could go just as Heavy came in. Instead though, he darts back and creates a little bit of a divide. Nearly 2 seconds there between the major items. He does start to find his way in. So obviously Cooller, he gets the Heavy. RAISY, you've got the Mega to work with. Just clearing out bit by bit. A little bit paranoid about where exactly Cooller is at this point.
Very similar style to what we saw on this first map. No one wants to give anything away. Both players on a similar stack. RAISY knows that there's opportunity there, but he's wondering if he should risk it or not. He's definitely thinking about it. He knows he's there. It's just a matter of how he wants to try and progress it. Sees him. The LG's just a little bit out of range for him to make contact. But the rail is there. The rocket's just not going to do any damage. He's tried everything he can, but the main thing is he did pick up the Heavy, but could have gone, that's fine with me. I'm just going to go straight for the Mega. But the dual comes in. The rockets come out. A lot of damage there, but look at the amount of damage Cooller's done to RAISY. He's only on 44 HP. Cooler's looking for blood. He's on the hunt. He's just trying to find and knuckle down exactly where he could be. He's going to make the assumption that he's gone bottom mid for those 2 health orbs and maybe looking for that light. But I don't know how RAISY got away with it. It's very, very lucky. Just took a standard path going round from bottom mid. Thought Cooller would have made the assumption he looked bottom mid. Maybe Cooller did check, but it's just a little bit too early. But look at the rockets coming through. Cooler's still at a stack advantage. And RAISY's just been taken down 3 HP. Surely RAISY's going to get cleaned up. And he has, as Cooller gets the first frag on the board.
Oh man, and it doesn't end there. Cooller straight in for a second as they'll lick him up with that LG. Leave RAISY in his wake. 2 frags picked up so far. Great way to kick off the game. Wants to see if he can get himself a third. And the adjustment was there. You could see from the audio instantly realizing where RAISY is. Flicks up, scoped in with the rail. Can't get the opportunity to take a shot just yet. Slowing it down as well. Holding. Just watching towards the doorway, seeing if RAISY will double back. RAISY has picked up the Heavy. The slight divide in the major items comes into effect as well, as Mega hasn't spawned in yet. A lot of damage being done, but Cooller can buff that out. Cooller starting to turn this fight in his favor, but it's not going quickly enough. He can't commit to the kill. He's low, trapped behind the pole. And RAISY will commit to the frag, gets 1 on the board, and takes it to a 2-to-1 split.
With the upper hand, but RAISY's left on 25 HP. Cooler knows exactly where he is. He's been a little bit passive compared to the situation he's put his opponent in. But look at the rails from RAISY. Cooler could have been a little bit more aggressive there. Should have just gone straight in, but I don't think he knew exactly how much health his opponent may have. Maybe he didn't hear the screams of BJ, but RAISY's still on 58 HP. He needs to try and get away, find some lights if he can. Heavy's not coming up for at least another 12 seconds, as both these items aren't segregated at all. And the LG comes in, Cooler. Oh, RAISY does clean up there. I still feel like Cooler should have pushed in much earlier and a lot more aggressive. Maybe he didn't hear the screams of him. Maybe he wasn't really too short on the HP. I do not know, but we'll have to see. Is RAISY still on 25 HP? Oh. Beautiful rocket there from Cooler. And now things are back to normal, as the rocket didn't really go his way. He could have gone for the heavy straight afterwards. It looks like RAISY didn't make the jump, as Cooler's just been very patient, just waiting for him just to make that slight peak. And is he going to be able to finish him off? No, he will not, as RAISY is the one who traced that rail nicely and ties things up 3-all.
Oh, there's some just ridiculous rails that are starting to come out. Like, the amount of plays where it feels like it should either be a guaranteed frag for RAISY or a guaranteed frag for Cooler, and then out of nowhere, big rail action rocks up as it's the RAISY hype train at the minute. The pineapples are raining in towards his face, though. Double rail pulled out, quick transition to the rocket. But in this time, 2 guns won't be better than 1, as Cooler putting that 1 single rocket to good use to shut down RAISY and keep himself 1 frag ahead. It's a 4-3 split on the kills, making his move around as well, finally getting another LG. Oh, and that major item, pineapples being shot up, rocket jump up, here we go, as he's fully committing to this firefight. They're both quite low, and RAISY, he does the unthinkable, mid-air with the shotgun, catches Cooler with his pants around his ankles, and spanks him with the shotty.
As if RAISY did that as well. That's ridiculous. Cooler must be kicking himself. No, that he could have won that, but Heavy's just been picked up. Cooler's heard it. He needs to get away. Even though he's got a better stack, he hasn't got the weaponry in his arsenal to try and fight this, but he's got the LG. But look at that. The dual LG and the rocket follow up, picking up the Mega. That was great stuff from RAISY to extend his lead.
God damn. That's sick, man. The 2K picked up with the shotgun is unbelievable. Really, really quality stuff. This is a bit more of an awkward encounter, but that's nice. Actually hitting those rockets through the cracks in the floorboards is far harder than it looks, but this might be a little bit too much of a tall order for him. Actually, the predictive rocket does a lot of damage. It bounces Cooler across, but Cooler, he comes out on top, hitting the shot with a rail, barely dodging the hole in the floor as well to keep himself alive and try and make this one a little bit more electrifying. Going in with the LG, up the bounce pad, RAISY. Wow. Destroyed Harry. It's just his bones left on the stairs.
That aim from Cooler was ridiculous. RAISY just darts in with the dual wield of the nail gun. Says, I'll have that lead back, thank you very much. He's going to go straight forward. He's going to be waiting for that Mega next coming up in the next few seconds. Just going to top mid to see what he can do. He did a huge chunk of damage there, as Cooler's going to still try and contest that Mega, which he has done, and RAISY's on the back foot. He needs to try and restack as quick as possible. Lucky for him, the light was still up, but look at the LG damage from RAISY. That was a huge amount, but Cooler still managed to take him down with ease, and he's pushing with the rockets. Oh, that's a beautiful shotgun shot from RAISY, and again trades once more. RAISY up 8-7 here, still got 3 minutes left on the clock, and this is the standard Deep Embrace game we all expected.
Yeah, this is the more just unrivaled aggression where everyone just gives it punch after punch coming out, but a lot of them are being missed. At this point, it gets a little bit rough. RAISY playing on the angle, just beneath the lip. Doesn't want to lurk around for too long. Dives out of there, creates some space. 4 seconds till Heavy's up, and he's hitting rails. Ooh, back up the bounce pad. Cooler exposes himself once again and takes another rail straight to the face, hitting him on the forehead, Harry. And that'll leave him feeling a little bit punch drunk. He's got to back off because of it, but RAISY, he's hot on his tail. He's hunting him down like Dog the Bounty Hunter. And that's got to be good for the ratings. A cinematic frag.
That was lovely. Look at the LG. He's gone up the bounce pad twice. I'm quite surprised about that. I thought he would have backed away. Maybe he knew that it was in a bit of a bad spot. Just respawn and go elsewhere, which he has done. Fair enough from Cooler. RAISY still extending his lead just a little bit here and there. Minute per minute. Still got 2 minutes left to try and survive this, and he knows that he can't be on the back foot. He needs to continue this aggression and keep Cooler out of his comfort zone, and he has done. 11-7 now, minute 45 left. RAISY's going to go straight for the Mega. He's flying high from that LG and saying goodbye as he goes off to sea. Won't be fighting for another day as of yet. And RAISY's continuing the direct rocket, the LG, the Gauntlet comes in and still cleans things up. 13-7 here, Jack.
Mate, RAISY,
the
wicked Skeng man himself. He pulled out the blade, Harry. He was trying to bag the Ramsey, but he couldn't get the kill. And Cooller trades it back in the end. Coming back into the game here. 13-8, timing-wise. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really rough. You never really know how these things go, but with basically 60 seconds left, the amount of sheer kills he'd need to find, you need to be getting frags literally a couple of seconds ago. And the fact he isn't, paints the picture that this looks like RAISY will be shutting it down on Deep Embrace. And so far taking the series 2 maps to nothing. Cooller, a little bit frustrated. Few rockets coming out here and there. Just try and send himself flying up. Doesn't quite land it. Tries on the second attempt, and this time he will get the heavy. Misses with the rail though. Pineapple's going in. RAISY just backpedaling. He has no reason to fight if he doesn't want to. Effectively, he can just run away, and he knows it's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's said and done. Cooller may have a massive stack advantage, but even then, afterwards, it will be struggling not to trade off next time round. 13-8 with 20 seconds left. And this is the thing with Deep Embrace. It can work 2 ways. You know, you saw the slow, passive plays at the start. That's where more you're trying to figure out your opponent on what he can be doing, what he's up to, because that first frag is so important, Deep Embrace. And sometimes it can be purely based on instinct and your initiative and how you approach this map with your aim skill. And you saw that from RAISY during the last few minutes, where he just was an absolute madman, could not be stopped. His initiative and his pace of play just increased dramatically. And there we have it. RAISY with another map win on the board, 14-10, with nearly just over 1,300 damage more in comparison, showing a huge amount of map presence in comparison to Cooller. But Cooller did make a great comeback at one point. We thought it's his for the taking, but RAISY was just having absolutely none of it.
Yeah, it's cool to see RAISY like playing to the pedigree that we know he can as well. Like, he genuinely is unbelievable. I was going to say, like, to say that he's the bridesmaid and never the bride at this point is a little bit unfair to him, because there's been so many times where he should have had his wedding day. He should have been able to wear his dress and live his movie, Harry. But obviously, whenever it gets to those LAN finals, whenever it gets to those online playoffs, the amount of times he's come so close, but had it go up in a puff of smoke, where he would have been in the running to get his name on the belt, potentially take the whole damn thing quite a few times, it's rough. So whenever we get an opportunity to see him just playing really well and playing some quality Quake, I love seeing it, because he is such a talent. And obviously, when it's up against Cooller as well, it means so much more.
Yeah, it's a statement nonetheless. I've always wanted to ask him that question as well. Like, you know, at the finals, what problems is it he's having? Is it like a mentality thing? Is it like stamina? Is it, you know, is it your nemesis opponent where he's literally got your number? It could be a numerous amount of things. And, you know, I don't want to say like, you know, choke or anything like that, because it might not be that reason. It can be stamina. When you come back from a loser bracket run, it's very, very difficult for your mindset. And don't get me wrong, in a tournament kind of scenario, like in that kind of situation, you kind of just don't really think about stamina too much. You just shrug it off. But over time, it can dawn on you after a certain amount. It can be, you know, very annoying. But then again, some opponents can just have your number and just be straight out. Like back in the day when it used to be Tox versus Sparty. Tox used to take down Sparty every single time without fail. But, you know, for the first time since the Quake Pro League started, Sparty actually took down Tox, didn't he? So hopefully RAISY will make these improvements. You know, he's got Wenger, his teammate, to actually make the adjustments with everyone else in the Maestro clan. But we'll have to see what happens. But, you know, it's not all done yet. We still have map number 3 between both these players. And it's like I said, with the next map being Corrupted Keep. For RAISY, all 3 of his maps, he's good at all 3 of them. Had them all written down, said all 3 of them is going to be perfect for him. If he takes the first one, there is a possibility it's going to be 3-0. But I didn't want to say that because it is Cooller after all. We don't know what to expect. But it is slowly looking that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for this one in terms of the raw spectacle of it, Harry, right? Like, champion pick-wise is Strog and Pika versus Visor, so there's a lot that could go into that. Could be pretty fun to see how that plays out. It's also just Corrupted Keep. You take away the rail, it forces some real smart fights. In the way you have to approach the game, it's different. You don't have that rail available to you. You have to be more ingenuitive. You've got to come up with these smarter ways to play. Strog and Pika, it gets a lot of love on this map as well, because it just makes it so much harder to get the quick flick off. Normally, one rail, right? You kill Pika, you get rid of it pretty quickly. When you don't have that available to you, you see a lot more focus having to pull out the shotgun to deny the Pika, just doing tons of damage. So I'm expecting to see RAISY have a field day with the Pika here.
You'd think so. It is one of his better maps still, even though, you know, a lot of people have kind of figured out what to do on Cut to Keep and changed the meta ever so slightly. But let's see what he's up to here. Cooler already done a huge chunk of damage with that LG, as RAISY is trying to get away a little bit, but it looks like it won't be happening too much, as RAISY's still on a slim of health, but he'll be able to survive that just fine. Nice, clean LG shots there from RAISY. And it's a nice statement to make during the first part of this map.
Okay, the battle from behind the statue. Effectively, the head glitch coming into play. Oof, it's an awkward back and forth, mate. Dancing with the devil. He stays alive. And Cooler, he makes the move. Grabs that mega health. He's snatched it. He's got himself in custodial position, right? RAISY's trapped. Oh, how's he actually gone out?
Wow,
oh, he doesn't.
The rocket!
The rocket! Harry, how has he hit that?
That was a great 180, wasn't it, to be fair, pushing in. It looks like it's going to be a completely change of pace at the start compared to what we saw before, as RAISY is one who takes back the lead. Try to trade frag. Now he's got the LG. It's going to clean up as much as he can. Goes back to the rockets. Still on 76 HP, but it needs to get this mega, which he has done. Beautiful stuff from RAISY. The MG comes through for COOLLERZ, trying to do as much damage as he can. Has the stack advantage and a direct there from Cooler. Brings things back, but is only one frag behind here. He can definitely do this, as he didn't really take too much damage from that last engagement.
Mate. I mean, yeah, it's just mental, isn't it? But anyway, we carry on. This day is not stopped. The all-out warfare that we're seeing between these two has been raging on for the past minute and 37 seconds. Cooler trying to take the initiative, but he's up in the air. He's looking like Mary Poppins, but will he be popped open? RAISY seems to be the one that will be first to fall, though. On top of the statue, loses his grip as he'll slip, and he won't be getting back up again. 3 kills on either side. Rockets going out to deny the push from RAISY as Cooler, he double backs, grabs himself the heavy, straight back in, coming in like a meteor with the face of Cooler on it, crashes into RAISY, smashes him wide open, and gets an advantage in the game.
Some of these engagements are just so weird. Like earlier on, Cooler, he shouldn't have actually won that fight above the mega earlier, but somehow just managed to turn it around. He should have done, and then he messed up a few of those rocket shots to give RAISY a huge advantage. Then RAISY gave the advantage away. It's just a bit bizarre. Look at Cooler's stack, and RAISY's just pummeling straight in. But don't get me wrong, though, the stacks are very similar. Don't take that into account. You can see Cooler's just trying to restack here. He's only on 7 HP. LG didn't do its justice. But Cooler now is going to be respawning and looking to see where RAISY could be going next. RAISY just trying to keep him away from the rockets for now. And this is what I like about what RAISY's doing, is using that heavy machine gun to his distance advantage. Making sure if it does try and attempt to go for one of his items or one of his weapons, that he's going to be there. But it looks like Cooler is thinking the same thing. Trying to find out where RAISY is going, realises that he's in the red room. But Cooler's been a lot more patient now compared to what he was doing previously. But the Pika comes in, and RAISY still knows he's hanging around in that red room. It's just a matter of when RAISY wants to take this fight.
This past 3 minutes has basically been one giant engagement. There's been very little downtime. This is the longest lull in the fight that we've had. And time slowly ticks by. Cooler, slightly better stack to play with. RAISY, though, dropping down. He'll grab the mega and balance things out as they split the major items 1 apiece. He's got 4 rockets left. So he could leave himself high and dry if he doesn't replenish that ammunition soon. There goes the first. Quick transition to the Pika, chasing him down. Goes full kamikaze and hits it. This will dent Cooler's stack and put him into a bit of a worse position. Holding the angle as well. Ready with the LG. Constant tags coming out. Look how much damage he's doing. He's burning through Cooler. And he realizes, I've got to hightail it. It's fight or flight. He chooses flight. And he's left fragged because of it. RAISY getting a bit low though, Harry. He's got to back off. Dives around the corner. And actually creates enough distance between them to potentially keep himself alive. Pre-fire with the rocket. He's ready for the face. Cooler diving in. Here he comes as the Russian wants to run rampant. And the rockets will do the damage for him. Detonating RAISY and putting him back in the game.
Oh, that was a great spawn rocket there from Cooler, but sadly the target was not hit. Cooler now still knows exactly where he is. We'll be looking for that heavy machine gun. We know he likes to play with that a lot. And that's what I mean with the visor. He wants to try and keep his distance, give himself an advantage with that heavy machine gun. But it looks like he's waiting to see if RAISY's actually going to approach him. But this is good from Cooler, keeping guard of one of the lights, making sure he can't get those rockets as of yet, and can bait that light out if he wants to. But the problem is the piercing sight, he has no more. But RAISY will not be looking for that light armor anyway, due to the fact that he will be looking to contest the heavy, as Cooler will be going for the mega. So in terms of engagements, it looks like we'll be waiting for a little bit more time here, Jack.
Yeah, you've got to slow it down sometimes. Ooh, actually, I mean, maybe that's the exception to the cause. He pulls out the HMG, firing off, shooting out constant bullets until that drum's empty. He's got a ton of ammunition to play with, so that won't matter. He might be sweating bullets soon, though, as the LG is burning a hole straight into him, but Cooler still coming out on top, showing off with his sustainability. A horrible fight to be in, but he wins it. He does lose out on the major item, though. Actually, maybe he can stay alive here. Look at the transition. The rockets from underneath, Harry. He sends him flying back into the item. He bops him into the mega. Oh, that's rough, dude. It was so clean. Considering how low his stack was, he did so much, only to unfortunately help RAISY on his quest.
That's ridiculous. I thought Cooler was going to have that as well, but it doesn't matter. He ties things up his own way. RAISY's just spawned in red room. Sorry, COOLLERZ just spawned in red room, apologies. But RAISY still needs to get some armor on the back foot. But both lights have been taken. Cooler managed to take that light from the red room, but the other one is still waiting to be taken too. But at least RAISY gets the mega. Taking a little bit of rocket damage there. Cooler has a feeling he's going to be coming up that lift, which he has done, but a great rockets there from both his players. But Cooler is the one with the advantage. He is the one who takes him down and gets the lead. And finally, the light, which RAISY was waiting for so long, it's just respawned.
Oh, here we go. RAISY fragged out. Bullet after bullet, buckling him under the sheer weight. Oh, but there's no waiting for the next engagement. Cooler with a rocket, the double pump to the face, then switches to the shotgun to end RAISY, making him look like a chump as he frags him out with Big Papa Pump. 7 minutes on the clock, Harry, and it's a 10-7 game here on Corrupted Keep. Trying to make the best of the Peeker as well. Gets that in. It's good damage. Cooler's low because of it, but he's still alive, and he's still hungry for more kills. He's got the high ground as well, and if he can hit a couple of rockets, he'll shut down RAISY once again and give himself a gigantic lead. Couldn't stop him from getting the heavy, but at least does a bit of damage. Mega spawns in as well to buff him back up, topping him up whilst he's toppling RAISY.
Love that little body disrespect with the shotgun earlier from Cooler. Basically said to RAISY, I knew you was going to do that exactly. I can read you like a book right now. And this is the great thing with the heavy machine gun. If you've got the lead, okay, it's very hard to play a passive style, but you can definitely do a huge chunk of damage to keep your opponent away and keep him from actually getting any further close to you. Because if he is going to push you at some point, somehow, some way, then, you know, you're not going to do that because you're just going to push away and go back on the defense until you restack. But look at this. The Peeker came in, but look at the damage from that last rocket. Cooler's waiting for him to push through. RAISY is just barely surviving from the skin of his teeth, and it looks like RAISY will be trying to flank around, but Cooler's just trying to bait him out here with his heavy machine gun. He's just desperate for him just to challenge him, just asking him to challenge me non-stop. But the heavy is coming up in the next second, which Cooler's going to go for, but the items aren't segregated enough to go for both. But maybe he can go through here after doing that LG damage, and look at the bait of the mega. Beautiful stuff. Cooler has read him here, no problem, during this later stage of the map.
Yeah, Cooler's just in the spotlight at this point. He's showing off. He's having fun with it. RAISY, the quick flick back around as he realizes the Cooler's been able to flank him down. Great use of the rocket as well for the quick movement. This actually works out brilliantly. He cuts him off. He gets ahead of him. RAISY's been on a fun run, but Cooler wants to make it a very unhappy run as he'll cut him off at the end, walking into the finish line with a pair of scissors and sticks that one away. There is a minute left on the clock. RAISY, how is he even still alive? He was basically a zombie. He gets hit by the double tap. Cooler, he knows how to end a series in style here. Wants to make this Cooler's keep. RAISY will at least get one frag. Comes back in with an 8th Harry, but in the grand scheme of the game, it's done, man. It's over.
It certainly is. He's been balancing off the relegation zone for some time now, and even though he hasn't taken the series, this map win will definitely give him an edge of trying to get closer out of there, because it is between him and CNZ, I believe. So I think Cooler does have a game in hand. I'm not really too sure. I'll have to check up on that later on. But yeah, this one map, is very, very important. We know how close the leaderboard is in the EU region. Every single opponent there, every single player in that leaderboard doesn't really want to go too deep down to the bottom of the table. But RAISY, 5 seconds left. He may have not won the final map, but he's won the series 2-1, so he's going to be quite safe anyway. As that was quite a phenomenal series, really. It just shows that the heavy machine gun defensive play from Cooler really did itself justice. And, even with the scoreline advantage as well, that was the best time for him to use it.
Yeah, no, overall it was sick, man. That's a hell of a map. Like, again, that's another one where even if you just take that as an isolated encounter, take Corrupted Keep, slip that on one side, watch it back when you get 5 minutes and just enjoy the game, because it genuinely was quality. It was non-stop fighting. Probably 8 out of the 10 minutes, there was at least some damage being dealt from either one of them. It was ridiculous in terms of just the raw aggression we saw from either side. It felt like Cooler had just had enough. It genuinely looked like he just snapped.
He certainly did, yeah, 100%. The problem was with the heavy machine gun he was using halfway through the game, he was always using it at an angle where if RAISY did get a little bit too close, then that's fine. Like, go to a narrow corridor, get the rockets out, stop him from using any kind of LG damage, use those defensive predictive rockets if he can by any means necessary. And he did it down to a T. It was perfect. He used the LG, as you can see there, from jump pads or coming from the LG, no problem. He did everything how it should be done. Like, okay, Corrupted Keep is not as instinct or initiative based like Deep Embrace, but there is an element of strategy there, and Cooler aced it pretty much.
Oh, it was clean, really, really clean, beautiful stuff. In terms of a matchup as well, right? I thought this one was going to be quite fun. RAISY Cooler, it's always a sick game. And the fact we got such a spectacle out of it, of just back and forth, Cooler effectively just throwing himself into the meat grinder over and over again with just a reckless disregard for his own safety. You love to see it. That's the sort of Quake that I really live for. So, sick stuff. Cooler, of course, there you go, with his MVP stats off the back of that one. 14 kills, 10 deaths. 42% on the rocket. He pulled out some crazy rocket plays, which honestly, normally, you're not always looking at Cooler's rocket to be the big impact factor, but it was. Throughout Corrupted Keep, he did a lot. Obviously, take that rail out of commission, right? You've got to adapt, and he did.
Yeah, he adapted really well throughout the entire course of the process. Okay, the series isn't in his favour. Sadly, he did lose 2-1, but the scorelines were kept quite close. The last map was it's the Cooler we know, really. I think it's starting to become one of his best maps. Every time I see him play it, he's sort of see like very, very close, or he's managed to close it out with ease. It's always one of the two, and it seems like it's one of those maps which he'll be maybe selecting in the future. I'm not really too sure. But we know that Blood Covenant, I was hoping that he would win that first map, because that way it will give a bit more momentum in case he doesn't do too well with Deep Embrace. It's like I said, it's more using your instinct and having the height advantage, making sure you try and suffocate and pressure your opponent at any means. But sadly, Cooler just couldn't do that. But fantastic job by RAISY to take that the entire series. It could have gone either way for him. But you got to remember, RAISY did have all 3 of those maps in his favour. It's like all his playground. Definitely his better maps. And he was very lucky to get those choices. So some good mind games there. And for RAISY for taking that victory.
Yeah, obviously Cooler, though, proving that he was too cold to hold on Corrupted Keep. However, RAISY far too hot to handle throughout the series. Does win it 2-1. There is still more to come, though, on tonight's broadcast. When we go back in, it'll be Maxter going head-to-head versus Cygibbs. Keep it locked for that when we return after the messages.